In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, to whom we all have to obey, honorable listeners and respectable audience, you know that we have started a series of linguistics. In linguistics, we have started the chapter that is known as translation studies. Listeners and audience, today I'm going to teach you how to apply Eugene Nida's theory to a text. For example, if you are doing an analysis on a text and you want to apply Nida theory to the text, so what would be the application of that? How you would apply that practically? And the question also arises, either you will apply it as a formal or dynamic one. Listeners and audience, remember, before going to apply the theory, this is very important for you that you know about the Nida's Eugene or Eugene Nida's theory. as I already told you, that we have here equivalence and then the two types of equivalence like formal equivalence and dynamic equivalence. Formal equivalence focus is on the style, structure, form in words, and dynamic equivalence focus is on the meanings and natural flow, and mostly it is used for figurative and idiomatic expressions, while formal equivalence we use for religious and other texts, particularly for the legal translation. So, what is the implication? How to apply Eugene Nida's theory to a text? Before going to apply the theory, you must know some of the points. Some point must be in your mind. The first point is read the text carefully. Remember, if you do not understand the culture, the context, and the meanings of the both of the text, it's very difficult for the translator or for a person to translate a text from the original text into the target one. It means the original message will not be conveyed. So the first thing is that read the text carefully. Try to understand what does the writer say, what is the intended message of the writer or of that text, of the original text. The first point. Second point is, after that we have to decide either the message is conveyed in formal equivalence in a better way or in dynamic equivalence. And I told you, if the message is in a simple form, so definitely you can use a formal equivalence. But remember, there is another point as well. You should know about the text. For example, if it is a religious text, then you should try to follow formal equivalence. If it is a legal translation, again follow formal equivalence, because there you have to preserve what? You have to preserve the style, the form, the structure, and even the verbs. However, if you're talking about literary translation, literary text like novel, drama, stories, and some communication or speech, then you come to dynamic equivalence. However, if there are some expressions like idioms, proverbs, and metaphorical language, then you would come back to dynamic equivalence, and you could follow rather both of them. It means when there is a need of formal equivalence, use formal equivalence if the message is clearly conveyed. But if there is need of dynamic equivalence, then you shift to that. So there will be a balance of them. And then last one, there must be clarity, the mass and the message. It means the original text has impact on the readers, same is the case the text which has been translated to the target text. So the target text must have the same impact as the original text has. And let me provide examples. For example, I told you that you can apply one of them from the types of dynamic equivalence, from the type of equivalence which is the theory of Eugene's Nida or Nida's theory. You can apply a dynamic equivalence or formal equivalence or both of them. How? So when I know that there is need definitely from formal equivalence, I will shift to dynamic equivalence. See for example, वो हमारे लिए अंधेरे में रोशनी है. For example, there is a person, an eligible man in your society. When you face a problem, so definitely you are going to ask that knowledgeable person, because and the Holy Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also makes mention, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. If you do not know, ask the knowledgeable people. So now we have some problems and you ask the knowledgeable person. So he guides you. So about him you say, वो हमारे लिए अंधेरे में रोशनी है. So now if you're taking the literal meaning is that he is a light, he is a light for us in the dark. Listeners and audience, remember, now this message is clear. However, for the next language speakers, for example, for the target language readers, it will be a bit difficult. They will confuse because there is a literal meaning. As I told you that the person is actually a guidance for you because he guides you. You ask and he answers. So that's why here the light means guidance. So this is the literal meaning. But if you're talking about sense for sense translation or dynamic equivalence, so the meaning is he is a guidance. He is a guidance for us in the dark. Now let's come to another sentence. Normally we say वो शेर है शेर. If you're talking about literal translation, the translation is he is a lion. In English, there is no repetition of the two words. For example, we can't say he is a lion, a lion. No, just one word is sufficient. However, this message is already clear to the original Urdu readers. They understand it. What does it mean? It means they know that what is meant by lion here. It does not mean that I'm talking about animal. No, I'm talking about human being. I'm referring to someone that he's a lion, but it does not mean that he here mean he has the quality of a lion. But still, if I am translating it into the equivalence, dynamic equivalence, the message will be more clear. Here, the message is clear only to the Urdu readers because they understand that it is actually idiomatic expression. I am comparing the lion with the human or the human with the lion. So actually the meaning is, this is literal meaning, and if I want to make it more clear and there will be a natural flow, so then this is actually the natural flow with the sense for sense translation or dynamic equivalence would be he is brave. So this is sense for sense translation or dynamic equivalence. So here is you see the natural flow without any confusion. When I say he is a lion, so it means he has the quality of a lion. Lion considered to be brave. Similarly, that person is brave. When I say he is a lion, the dynamic equivalence meaning will be that he is brave. So Neki kar darya mein dal. Now this sentence will make you more confused if you translate it just literally. The Urdu, the original speakers, they will understand. But for example, the English speakers, the native speaker of English language, they will not understand the meaning if I just translate it into literal translation. For example, the literal translation is do virtue and, for example, throw it into the river. So, and the second thing is that this is not the original purpose of the writer. The original message of the writer is, which I'm translating to the, for example, based on the dynamic equivalence. What is that? Neki kar darya mein dal means Do good and forget about it. Do good and forget about it. So as I told you that sometime sense per sense or dynamic translation or dynamic equivalence is important, because here the meaning is the intended meaning is not conveyed, so that's why I translated based on dynamic equivalence. Similarly here the intended meaning was not conveyed, so I translated into dynamic equivalence. So hope that this topic is clear to you. Thank you.